Hello my friends, and welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to share with you a bunch of really cool and interesting changes that have made their way into whkd, the Windows hotkey daemon. Now, most of you will be somewhat familiar with whkd, if only because it's the other thing that you install when you go through the Komorebi Quick Start. The Komorebi Quick Start also provides you with this example whkd RC file, which is full of example keybinds for controlling the Komorebi tiling window manager. So, where to start? There have been a number of releases, small releases, but they've added quite a lot of functionality. So for a long time, people were using version 0.2.1. That was released in April of 2024. Then we had a release on October 15th, then one last month, then one 3 weeks ago, then one last week, and then one 18 hours ago. Basically yesterday. Yeah, so a bunch of really cool stuff has happened. Before I go into these changes though, I do want to draw your attention to two other repositories. We now have a tree sitter grammar for whkd. Tree sitter grammars let you do a whole bunch of cool stuff. For editors, it provides, tree parsing functionality that can be used in plugins in Vim, in Zed, and just like a whole bunch of editors, in Helix as well, I believe. So I put this together for anyone who is interested, and also I put it together for myself because I wanted to create a syntax highlighting plugin for whkd RC files for the Zed editor, which I have been using quite a lot recently. So without further ado, here it is. This is the whkd plugin for Zed doing all of the syntax highlighting. I think it looks really nice. I think it looks super nice. You can get this by going to extensions and then searching for whkd, and you'll see it come up here. Damn, it's been downloaded 10 times. Shout out to those 10 people. Yeah, shout out to those 10 people. If you are one of those 10 people and you are watching this YouTube video, say hi in the comments. So those are the first two things. A lot of people have asked, hey, can we get some syntax highlighting for this? Because looking at this in an editor it could be better, right? It could be better, and now it is better. And I also particularly like that there is syntax highlighting support for commented lines as well. So cool things number 1 and 2, the tree sitter grammar and the Zed syntax highlighting plugin. If you would like to make another syntax highlighting plugin for another editor, please let me know. I would be happy to help out however I can. Next up, we switched dependencies, and that's kind of a big deal. So previously, whkd was using the Windows hotkeys dependency by Daniel Miller. Yeah, Daniel Miller. I think that's probably Daniel Miller. And this served us well for a really long time. It was awesome. It is still awesome. I would say unless you have a specific reason to not use this, by all means use this. Somebody called iHalston forked that repo and rewrote the underlying hotkey management code to use the whkeyboard LL low-level keyboard hook, which includes full support for the Win or the super key as a modifier. Now, a lot of people are coming from Linux, where they use the super key or the Windows key as their main modifier instead of Alt. I came to Windows from Mac OS. I was a very heavy byeee user, and because of that, like, Alt is just how I learned how to use tiling window managers. So, the default config, the example config for whkd that comes with the komorebi quick start uses Alt. And for a while, the official, semi-official recommendation has been that if you would like to use the Windows hotkey, you should use auto hotkey instead of whkd, because it's an incredibly mature project. It has had for a very long time full support for binding hotkeys using the Win key, and we even provide a sample configuration file here for auto hotkey to control komorebi. But we switched dependencies, and so now whkd is using the Win hotkeys dependency, which means that now you can all, where did that file go? You can all just go and replace Alt here with Win, and you will have Windows hotkeys. There is one caveat for the Win plus L combination. You will have to make a registry change to disable locking the workstation. I believe you also have to do this if you are using auto hotkey, but besides that, you can have Win or Super HJKL instead of Alt HJKL for all of your movements now. So yeah, that is really cool, and thank you to iHolston for doing the really hard work of making this possible. This would not be possible without iHolston. I don't believe there is a sponsorship button here anywhere, but if there is a sponsorship button here in the future for Isaac Holston, please do make sure to sponsor the development of this crate, because it is a very, very important crate. So that is the biggest thing that has changed, and that came into effect in version 0.2.4. So that one came 3 weeks ago. This one was a hotfix. We had some issues with winget, and this one was, I believe, thanks to a contribution from a first-time contributor. I'm going to butcher this name. Bartosz Kalishuk. This friend of mine made contact. I think it was on the issue tracker, or it might have been on the Discord, and said, you know what, I'd really like to have a comment on the first line, and currently the parser doesn't support that. So, they went through, they made the changes, they added a test, and now you can have a comment on the first line. Here is a comment, and it won't crash. It'll parse properly. So that was really nice. It's always fun to have people come into a project and be able to pick up something that is bugging them and help them fix it. And who knows, maybe this was something that was bugging you before, and you just didn't know that this was now possible because I hadn't made a video about it. Now you know, whkd allows comments on the first line. So 0.2.4 introduced support for binding the Win key, and 0.2.5 introduced support for binding single hotkeys. And the most interesting example of this is one that I now actually have in my configuration. So I have bound F11 to komorebi C toggle maximize. And how does this work? So let's take a step back. Previously, if you use the built-in native F11 shortcut, you would be able to toggle maximize. But what would happen is if you switch to a different workspace and you went back, that window would no longer be maximized. But with this key binding now, because we're doing that maximization via komorebi and the state can be tracked, when I switch back to that workspace, it is still maximized. Super cool. If you're one of the people who has been asking, how can I maintain maximization state across workspaces when I'm moving around? This is how you can do it now. You just need to be running version 0.2.5 or above of whkd. And finally, in version 0.2.6, the latest version, there are some, I don't know, are these significant changes? Possibly significant changes. So I added 2 new keywords, and I'm gonna just copy this into here so that I can have the nice syntax highlighting. So default is a new keyword. Ignore is also a new keyword. I'm actually going to take another step back real quick because there are some people who don't know that you can do this, right? So maybe I'll take this example as well. Did you know that you can have different behaviors when different apps are focused? So if you want Alt+N to do something different when you're focused on Firefox and something different when you're focused on Google Chrome, you can have this block with square braces. Then you put the process name on the left-hand side, then a semicolon, and then the command on the right-hand side. And you can do this with any number of apps. You can have any number of app-specific behaviors. And this has been possible since the very first version of whkd. However, this has to be exhaustive, right? And that means like you need to specify every single app, which is not really very ergonomic. So this is where the new keywords come in. So you can have the same block, but if you put default, it's going to match every process, and it will run this command for every process. So if you only have default, this is the same as doing Alt+Q komorebi C close, which I have somewhere down here. Here it is. So if we just have this, it's the same as having this. But if you add a specific process here, you can give this its own command. So like this can also be echo hello Chrome. And you can do this with any number of other overrides. And it's a bit more ergonomic than having to have like this exhaustive enumeration approach. However, if you have the ignore keyword, then what you have is a command that will be triggered for every application except this one. And you can add other applications here as well. So maybe I don't want this to trigger for Firefox either. So this is how you can set it up, and we're getting into slightly more complex key binding configuration territory here. I'm really excited by this. It's been a while since we've had any big movement on the whkd repo, and yeah, I think it's a really interesting time now. There are two things I would like to look into. If you're also interested in working on either of these things, please get in touch. Leave a comment, come in the Discord, interact on the tracker. Just get in touch. So, the ability to pause and resume whkd. I would like to get this working. I'm not sure how. I don't really have a specific implementation in mind right now, but I would like to get this working. I would also like to get hotkey pass-through working. So if you have ignore here, it's not going to do hotkey pass-through. Ideally, what I would like is for the ignore keyword to do hotkey pass-through. And what that means is if Google Chrome has like a built-in action that triggers on Alt plus Q, then that should run. What will happen here right now is that the key press will be ignored, so it won't even be handled by Google Chrome in this case, or any other app. I would like to get that working. I don't have any specific implementation in mind, but I would really like to get that working. The other one that I'm keeping my eye on is support for nushell. Nushell is incredibly cool. It is an incredibly cool shell, but there is still an outstanding issue. But I did see that this issue has had a priority tag assigned to it 2 weeks ago, so I am keeping my eye on this. I believe I am now subscribed to notifications on this, and I would like to get support for nushell into into whkd as well. Now, if you're not familiar with nushell, it's kind of crazy, right? Like, it's a shell, and you can do some really, really cool stuff. So I can do komorebi c state, pipe that through to from JSON, and look at this. It makes it all into a table, and then you can do stuff like, you can basically do like JQ, and you can go into it. Really, really cool. And I'm sure you can imagine that if you can do all of these cool commands with pipes and treating everything as tabular data, you can probably come up with some really, really cool key binds here and key commands or whatever. What's the word I'm thinking of? You can trigger some very complex workflows basically very easily, at least much easier in my opinion than they would be if you had to PowerShell them, as PowerShell is incredibly, incredibly verbose sometimes. All right, my friends, that was my update on whkd. So the latest release is out. Technically, I believe it'll take maybe a day or two more for it to be in WinGet. You can always download from here if you just can't wait. You can also compile from source if you just can't wait. Yeah, I think that's about it. The only other thing I will once again mention is that the commercial use licenses for komorebi are now available. The link is here. They are very, very reasonably priced. You get a discount if you sign up for an annual license. Whichever way you cut it, it works out to less than 50 cents per working day. And really, thank you so much to everybody who has already purchased a license. There are 11 of you, and this license has only been available for 20 days. That is absolutely incredible. It is beyond my wildest dreams and imagination. Yeah, it makes me very happy. Like the feedback from everybody has been so great, so positive, and yeah, I feel really good to be surrounded by such excellent people in this community. All right, my friends, on that note, I'm gonna call it a day and go out for a walk in the cold Seattle sun. My friends, I hope that whatever you all do today, you have a great day. Free Palestine, and I'll see you all back here next time.